Good day, good day. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Jay, and this is Homeschool Yo Kids Podcast. Before we get started, major shout out to a couple of our homeschool resource providers who are on a mission to ensure you do not homeschool alone. So, special shout out to Classical Conversations, who is a nationwide curriculum provider, as well as community support. They are everywhere, as well as Basecamped, which is an app that you can download that helps you find local families that are homeschooling in your area, as well as local community resources in your area. So check them out. And today we have with us Kamika. Kamika, introduce yourself.
Hey everybody, so my name is Kamika Raby. Originally born and raised in North Carolina, small town called Cove City, but mostly known like with New Bern area, Eastern North Carolina. And I'm just happy to be here today.
Nice. And that's not it. Look, don't stop there.
Okay, all right, I'll keep going a little bit. So I'm a homeschool mom of three amazing, active, loving boys, ranging from ages 10 to 3. So I have a 10-year-old, 7-year-old, and a 3-year-old who's like 3 going on 63.
Mhm.
I'm also a wife of to my husband, Terrence. We are a military family. And so we've been together for a very long time, but hit 14 years of marriage this past summer, working on 15 and beyond. So grateful to have him, supportive dad when it comes to homeschooling. So homeschooling my babies, but also I have been in the education field for nearly over 20 years. I started my I guess you could say my career in education, starting out like as a tutor. And so tutoring students, peers, people that were younger than me. I'm formally educated as a elementary education teacher. That's what my bachelor's degree is in. I graduated from the illustrious North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, Aggie Pride. And then I received my master's degree from Liberty University with a master's in education administration and supervision. So that allowed me to have education experiences ranging from grades K through 12. I've done some collegiate work. Right now, I am a contracted high school math instructor for a program helping families go back and get their high school diploma that experience like some type of education trauma. So I've touched a little bit of education veins all over, and I'm currently the founder and director of Imagodei Academy, which is my personal nonprofit organization where I'm helping families homeschool using a Christian curriculum. And so I'm taking my experience as a public school teacher and bringing it into the homeschool sector. And that's the very same program that I use to homeschool my boys as well. So
Oh
a little
my
bit of
goodness.
everything.
Yes, yes. Now that's better. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for pushing me.
Look, and you still left some things off because we didn't even talk about the book. You didn't even say nothing about the book.
Yes, I do have the book. So it's right here. My son and I, my oldest son and I, we self-published our first book together. It's called Mama, Why Do We Homeschool? And it just goes through a couple of reasons why our family decided to homeschool. And so there's not a lot of children books out there about homeschooling. And so we wanted to trailblaze that area, share reasons why our family homeschool, and people that purchase the book can find out that we share some of the reasons as to why we're all homeschooling together. So just bringing something fun and creative to the homeschool community with a self-published children's book. And shout out to Miss Jalen Monroe, who was our illustrator that brought all our ideas to life that makes the book as colorful and as bright as you can see.
Nice. Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, why do you homeschool?
So for a lot of reasons, but I'll start with the main one and kind of how I segued out of public school teaching to homeschooling. So I loved being a public school teacher. Like I knew that that was going to be my career path. I was going to climb the ladder as far as like teaching, administration. Like I just knew that was my life's purpose. But when I was pregnant with my oldest son, honestly, the Lord just started dealing with my heart about staying home. And I was so disappointed. I was like, stay home and do what? Like, what do you mean? Like, I have a degree. Like, this is not making sense. Like, we didn't talk about this. Like, why did I go to school if you just want me to be at home? And so honestly, it was just a step of obedience, just trusting him. And it was just beautiful, the timing, because my son was born in May. And that was the end of the school year for my last year of teaching. And so it was like a perfect segue. I had a great class that year. It was just very enjoyable. So I kind of went out like on a high note, which I'm grateful
Yeah.
for. And so that summer, I enjoyed being at home, but the hard part was seeing all of my coworkers go back to school and set their classrooms up. And I'm just like, I'm just sitting here breastfeeding. Like, I'm not getting anything back. Like, what is this? Like, come on. So
just nurturing a human, that's all. But
right, exactly. Different perspective now. But in that moment, that's honestly how I felt. First time mom, just figuring this thing out. Like, it's lonely, giving up a career. And so just being at home and just being obedient, the Lord just started kind of downloading ideas to me. And so one of the things was to go back to school. And that's when I worked on my master's degree. And so I used that time of being home to work on my master's degree in education, administration, and supervision, and also be available for my son. But one of the things that the Lord had told me before I made that decision was like, I really need you to just trust me, but just know that if you try to do all these things, like be a teacher, be a wife, be a new mom, you're honestly not going to do well at those things. And so I want to do well at everything that I do. I've always been raised to do things in excellence. And so I was like, okay, I don't want to be a failure as a teacher. Don't want to be a failure as a wife. Don't want to be a failure as a mom. I'm just going to trust the path that you have for me. So I'm going to lay down education. Maybe one day I'll pick it up again. I don't know how that looks, but I'm just going to trust you, Lord. So back to being at home that summer, working on my master's degree, which took me a couple of years to get, but that's when I started it. I was introduced to the concept of having a biblical worldview within my studies program. And so then from there, the Lord was like, hey, I want you to start homeschooling. And I was like, homeschooling? Me? Okay. Just being honest and transparent, I don't fit the homeschool mode. Okay. And I'm not going to wear the homeschool clothing type that most people think about, buying into the stereotypes. I don't want my kids to be weird. I don't want them to be different. Like this, I didn't sign up for this. Like, what are you talking about? And so I was talking to my husband about it, and he's like, you know what? I've thought about homeschooling as well. And I was like, really? And so we actually ended up kind of being on the same page about it. And so also from that, I also saw the influences of the public school system. So no total shade on public school. I'm a product of public school. I taught in public school. But there's some hard realities and influences that kids go through in the public school system. And thinking about it, I honestly didn't want my kids to have to go through those things. Peer pressure, being pushed along, expected to perform at a certain degree, and that helps determine like their worth and value, just all those things. And then the negative influences of peers, being exposed to too much too soon, like everything should be given age appropriate. And so the fact that my husband was on board with it, I was feeling the tug of it. We felt the Lord was leading us down that path. That's what really started segueing into our family personally homeschooling. Once I completed my degree, my master's degree, that's when I got the idea from God about Imagodei Academy, redeeming education through a biblical worldview. So breaking down kind of like that secular and sacred divide and helping students understand that God is giving you a specific purpose and a plan for your life. And education is a part of that. And taking my public school teaching experience and bringing it to the homeschool sector is what Imagodei Academy is about. We make homeschooling easier for families. And so just over the years, brick by brick, page by page, the Lord just started kind of downloading ideas into my mind about how to build this program, build this nonprofit to help families homeschool using Christian curriculum, but having a biblical worldview. And so what do I mean by that? So, seeing that God is a God of order, that's mathematics. God is in creation. He is the creator. That being a part of science. Looking at history from a biblical worldview, talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay. We cannot look at one side of history and just glorify it to be this wonderful thing. There's some hard, tragic things that happen that humanity has done to each other that we need to learn from to make sure that we don't repeat it. And so giving students a holistic approach to education, to seeing that, man, this is how I can love God and love my neighbor as myself. what happens when I do this? How do I not want to repeat this? How do I want to be a better citizen? How do I want to be more responsible? Like just looking at it in a holistic approach instead of it being one-sided or missing components that are very, very important.
Oh, girl, yes, you have said it. What? And it's so funny. I talk to so many parents who like when that are, full-fledged homeschoolers now, but they're
Mm-hmm.
like, no, this wasn't on my agenda.
Nope. Nope, not at all. Not at all. But here I am. I just hit my 10-year anniversary, personal anniversary of being a stay-at-home mom and wife, and looking back on the fruit and the harvest. It takes time, but I see it now. And I'm so glad that I was so obedient and trusting the Lord. We're 3 kids in. I see the progression of my babies. I call them my students, but they're my babies. I see how well they're doing. I get a front row seat at watching them learn every day, their strengths, their weaknesses. I mean, it's nothing better than that. Nothing better than that.
How does your day look?
Ooh, so every day is different for us. I'm a planner, which helps me stay on track. I also am a pretty disciplined person, but every day is different because each day we have different activities. So typically on Mondays, we're kind of kicking off our homeschool week, very like, academic focus, getting our minds back into the groove of things after having the weekend off. But then like on a Tuesday, the boys have like a different activity. So like robotics, or they have like their music class or things like that. And so it's kind of like a more of a free flowing homeschool day. But every day we always make sure that we do Bible, we do math, and we do language arts, because those are the core heartbeats for our family. And then there's some days within my week where I call them like admin days, because as a mom, I need a breather. I got to do laundry around the house. We got to clean. And so on those admin days, I have like learning apps that my boys work on, or they have like study hall time to work on something that they didn't get to finish for the week. But that's kind of typically how the days go throughout the week of homeschooling. I typically homeschool from like 8 to 12 instructional wise. If it doesn't get done before then it's just not going to happen that day. We always do a hard stop at 12. The boys have a lunch break from like 12 to 1. And then they have like after homeschool activities that they can do on their own. So like they're into coding. So they do like a Scratch program. They'll practice their instrument. They'll play with Legos. They'll use their imagination and play by themselves. They'll go outside. I mean, I just have like different things in place for them to do throughout the homeschool day when we're done teaching. So they're not looking for me to entertain them. Sometimes we'll go to the library. They're also a part of like a local homeschool group where they do homeschool PE, art class. So every day is different, but every Monday is the same. Every Tuesday is the same. Every Wednesday is the same. Every Thursday and every Friday is the same.
Okay. And when do you do your academy?
So that's my instruction time. So
Okay.
I teach using the same program that I do for with my boys. And so I'll break down Imagodei Academy. So Imagodei Academy is like a K through 12 homeschool education program. And so I have about 3 curriculums that I use within my program. And so one of them is Abeka. I also use Alpha and Omega, but from Alpha and Omega comes LifePack, Horizons, and Ignitia, which is our online course program. And so K through 2 is print. So we use print curriculum from Abeka, LifePack, and Horizons. 3 through 8, we use Ignitia. That's the online courses program. I also have like a hybrid model for 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade, where students can take like 2 courses on Ignitia and then do like 3 using a print curriculum. So for example, that's what I do with my son, my oldest son. He does a hybrid. So he takes Bible and history and geography on Ignitia, and then I use Abeka to teach him math, language arts, and science. And so that's kind of the curriculum that I follow for him. With Imagodei Academy, I also develop like pacing guides to help the students progress through the curriculum for the entire school year. So we run from like August to May. So I develop weekly pacing guides that tell families like what to cover every week. And I follow that same pacing guide for my oldest for science, mathematics, and language arts. And so that's what I do for him. With Ignitia, the Bible and the history courses, they pre-populate. So they have like due dates for him to follow as he matriculates through the lessons. So I pretty much just facilitate those courses and keep him on track. But the hardcore teaching comes from the math, the science, and the language arts with Abeka.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay.
And then for my second grader, I use just print curriculum for him. So I use Life Pack with him and Abeka Science because I love their science book. And so I just follow my own pacing guide that I created for the families in Imagodei Academy. I follow that very same pacing guide as well.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the challenges with starting out once he got to school age, your oldest, once he got to school age? What were some of the challenges you feel like you were met with?
Not really. So for me personally, no challenges because I'm a teacher by heart. And then that's also like what my degree is. So I enjoy school. But as far as like challenges, as far as like getting a rhythm within our family, I would say that's kind of been the biggest challenge of like being disciplined to get up when you don't feel like it. Staying on track. The word freedom is used a lot within the homeschool community, which is true, but you still need to have like discipline within your freedom because you have to look down the road. These children are going to be adults one day. They're going to have some type of discipline in their life to have some type of structure. They may go into corporate America where they have to be okay with following rules, being on time, the things that are required to thrive in those areas. Or they may be an entrepreneur. You got to be disciplined to be an entrepreneur, having time management, being able to budget, finance, all those things like that. So there's always a level of discipline that still comes with freedom. Freedom doesn't just mean that you just get to do whatever, whenever, without thinking about like, what's the consequences of if I don't do my work or, this type of thing like that. So I like to call homeschooling having structured flexibility. There are days where you're just not feeling it and you do need to rest. You do have that freedom to do that, but you got to get back on the saddle. And so being able to balance those things and having good rhythms and also modeling that for my kids, you have to practice what you preach. And so that's honestly like the biggest challenge is being disciplined and being committed. Homeschooling is just not like you don't do nothing. Like you got to do something. You have to do something. So that's just our culture. It's the world that we live in. And so homeschooling can't be out from responsibility. It just changes what responsibility looks like, but you still have to be disciplined in some way when it comes to homeschooling your kids.
Indeed. Were you met with any opposition from family with you and your husband's choice to move in this direction?
Yeah, I wouldn't say opposition. It was something new. How people say like, I'm a first generation college student, first generation. Okay, we're a first generation homeschool family. That is nowhere on our family tree, our family branch, nowhere. Okay, so when we told our family, of course they were shocked. They were like, what do you mean they're not going to school? Like, they just gonna be home. Forget the fact that I'm a teacher, right?
Yeah, no, that doesn't matter.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, did I get on the bus? Like, what do you mean? Like, and I come from a great line of educators in my family. Like, my grandparents, my auntie, like great aunts, great uncles, cousins, like we come from a great line of educators. And so this is just a different branch, but it's growing and it's flourishing. I would say that over time, our family has learned to appreciate what we're doing. There was never any disrespect or anything like that. But of course, when things are new, you're curious and you're like, really? You're going to do this? And so since we've been consistent and faithful by the grace of God, they beginning to see like, wow, like the boys are doing great. And, I have family members that come back and say like, I didn't understand at first, but I'm grateful that you made the sacrifice to homeschool the boys. You know, they're not having to deal with things that happen in public school because they're still in those sectors. You know, they're seeing that they're not going to have to deal with certain things that unfortunately some kids are dealing with today, you know, being exposed to things too soon and just other influences as well. And so our family respects what we do and they appreciate what we do. So I'm grateful for that.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because that's always the thing. It's
Yeah.
like, well, what does your family say?
Yeah, yeah, and everybody doesn't have that, so I'm definitely grateful for that blessing. But with that, when you're doing something, you have to know that that's what you're called to do, whether you have supportive people or not. Because if we base what we do off of people's support, we wouldn't do anything.
Exactly. That part,
So you
please.
just, yeah, you just got to trailblaze and know you've been called and be okay with that. And for me personally, as long as I know I'm pleasing the Lord and I have his applause, I'm good. Everything else is just a cherry on top.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah.
No, that you got to stand on your why. That's why it's big
Yes,
to know it and understand it and fully stand on it. Like, 'cause,
exactly.
yeah, you will be mad.
Exactly.
Even with the degrees, honey, they still be like, a little side eye,
Exactly.
like, you gonna do what? Like, whole
Exactly.
way? Like, what, how long this gonna happen?
Yeah, and some of them still ask, like, so you're gonna homeschool all the way through? And I always say definitely through middle school. We'll reassess at high school just because, like, you know, it depends on their maturity level, where we are. I mean, there's so many options with homeschooling when you get to the high school level, like dual enrollment. You know, I'm just gonna be honest, I can't teach calculus. So I know I'm
You
gonna
don't
have,
have to.
yeah, you know, I'm gonna have to outsource or look for different things. So it's gonna be different, but I know that me and my husband are going to be the primary teachers for our children, and we're going to be able to handpick and curate their education experience.
Nice. And it's so funny you said that because I joke about parents that be having 5-year-olds talking about some, well, I can't teach calculus. And it's like, honey, well, baby, you don't have to, okay?
Exactly, because I'm gonna be looking for a tutor. Like who can teach this
Exactly, girl.
baby calculus?
Yes, Delta. Look, I got a couple.
Yeah.
Delta Math. There's Delta Math. There's also
Yes.
Mathnasium, which I
Yes.
just learned is a
Yeah,
franchise, and
they're
they're
great. Mm-hmm.
what? There's like
They are
1,200
great.
of them all over the nation.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yes, oh yeah, no,
We will
because
be
I
outsourcing.
you and me both. I said multiplication is where I stopped. I feel like multiplication, division, like after that, it's
Okay.
like, okay,
Yeah. Yeah, you
girl.
got it.
Which
You
one of
got
these
it.
you want to sign up for? Because I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Exactly, exactly. And that's one of the things that families feel like with homeschooling, everything has to be on you. It
Hmm.
doesn't. You know, when you really think about it, you send your kid to school, they come home with homework, you still got to hire a tutor.
Hmm.
So just take that load off of yourself, homeschool them, and outsource for the subject areas that you need. You would pay for a tutor if they were in school anyway. So
Yes,
yeah.
get your reinforcements. That's why,
Mm-hmm.
I have this platform so parents are able to learn about all of the resources because there's a
Yeah. So much to choose
plethora.
from.
What's beyond,
Yes.
beyond.
So much.
But it's lovely, and I love that you're so passionate about teaching because it's like just listening to you. I said, "Oh yeah, she was born to
Yeah.
do this, honey. Like she was
Yes.
born to do this." Like
I love it.
yes. Okay, so you got three little ones, you
I
managing
do.
all that. How did the book come about?
Oh man. So the book honestly came from my baby, my oldest baby, Nehemiah. So I have three boys, Nehemiah, Malachi, and Elijah. But Nehemiah is like some of my friends call him like me 2.0. Like
Oh,
he's always looking for things to do, very inquisitive, on top of everything. He has like the memory of an elephant, like he never forgets anything. And so, we used to make like little paper books as, when he was like in preschool, like 3, 4 years old. And he was like, Mommy, I want to write my own book.
mm,
And so I was like, okay, we can definitely do that. And just over the years, he would just say it over and over again. And so, us just kind of like collaborating and talking together, we decided to write a children's book about homeschooling.
mm.
And, honestly, the title just came from his inquisitive nature. Like, Mama, why do we homeschool? And I was like, me, that would be a great title for a book. And so, just from there, just over the years, just pinning down core reasons why we homeschool as a family. He even illustrated some of the pictures. And then our illustrator kind of brought them more like vibrant into life. And so just a project that has just been in birth and rotation over years. And we're finally able to release it end of last year, early this year. And so this has just been something just in the making that we've done together.
Right.
At the time that he asked about having a book, his brothers weren't here. So just the timing of everything is perfect because the three characters on the front are all three of the boys. So
I know, and that's why I was like, yes.
Yeah, Nehemiah, Malachi, and Elijah. And so the illustrator, Jalen Monroe, she did a great job of like capturing our family and, just kind of what, the day-to-day looks like for us and just bringing a taste of our family to life, but also other people can relate to it as well. So
I love that.
yes,
That is so amazing. Y'all are
yeah.
doing some big things, girl.
Thank you.
You are doing that, honey, and you look
Yeah,
all of a teenager, so it's
I know.
crazy to hear the numbers that you spitting out, like 14-year marriage. Well, yeah, 14-year
Yes.
marriage,
Mhm.
10-year-old oldest, three having three. I was like, baby, you look like a baby. Like,
Yes, girl. You know what they say, right?
yes,
Yes.
yes.
So I'm definitely finally embracing that. For a long time, it used to bother me. But now that I'm almost
Mm.
knocking on 40, I'm like, you know what? This is working out in my favor. It's
Exactly.
working
Because
out in my
I'm at
favor.
40. Like I'm a
Yeah.
fresh 40. So
Look,
it's
you
like,
look good, girl. You
thank
look
you.
good
Thank
too.
you.
Yes.
Thank you. I
Yes.
say laughter. I say it's laughter. Laughter fuels
Yes.
it
For
keeps you
real.
rejuvenated.
Yes, it's good for the soul. It's medicine. I love a good laugh. I love a good laugh.
Yes. So tell
Yeah.
me more about the name that I'm still, I'm afraid to say it
It's
because I
okay.
feel like I'm a butcher it.
It's all right.
Imagodei. Imagodei. I'm a
Imago
Imago.
Day.
Imago Day.
Yes.
Imago Day. That's the English in me. I want to, like,
Yes.
it's like
Yeah. And it's
phonetically, it's like,
yes.
okay.
Yeah. So it's actually Latin for the image of God.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yes. And so the word actually came from my husband. He's a really big into biblical studies and looking at Latin language and Hebrew and Greek. And so we always used to kind of say the word like in our studies and things like that. And so when I was getting the download from the Lord about ideas about the homeschool program, what better name? Imagodei Academy. So we're all made in the
Imago.
image of God. Our heartbeat is showing students their purpose and how the Lord has wired them and made them. We're all different for a reason. And so our education
Mhm.
should be tailored towards that. One of the things with Imagodei Academy is kids get to learn on their own grade level. And so we have the ability to curate and tailor courses to fit your child's grade level. So even if your child age wise is like a fifth grader, but they're on a third grade math level, we're still going to respect them as a fifth grader, but they're going to learn at the level in which they need to. We're going to
Right.
fill in those learning gaps. Our heartbeat is really to have kids have a love for learning. If there's a point of frustration when it comes to learning, we need to take a step back and find out what it is. We're all about learning in a simple way. 1 + 1 is 2, and that's all there is to it. You ain't got to unpack it, redevelop it, wrap it up again.
Dissertation. Give a
Yeah,
dissertation
no.
about why it is.
Some
Yes.
things are just the way it's supposed to be, and that's all we need to know, and we're gonna move on. And so that's what it is, just making students understand and love learning and not feel like they have to be pushed along. They can learn at their own pace. Mom and dad can see front row. Areas of weakness to like help hone and strengthen. And then also like you're not getting a secondhand knowledge about your child. You're
Mhm.
seeing it for yourself. And then you're able to supply whatever they need from a heart of love because nobody's going to love your babies more than you do. And so
Indeed.
homeschooling, you get to see right there, have those teachable moments, redirect whatever is necessary. Homeschooling is a gift to give you those opportunities as a parent.
Indeed. I was going to ask how involved your parents were, like how front center are they?
Yeah, so a sector with Imagodei Academy is I'm about empowering parents to homeschool.
Mhm.
I'm not here to replace your job or your role as a parent. I want to empower you. And so every parent has different needs. And so we one on one with those parents, providing them exactly what they need. So if it's structure with creating a schedule for the day, we sit down with them and develop a schedule for their family. One of the things that we preach and teach in Imagodei Academy for our families is the homeschool to the heartbeat of your family. Do not feel like you got to do what these social media, no offense, but these social media moms that curate a flawless homeschool system. That's just the highlight, honey. Okay.
Tell them again, Kamika, because they tell them for the ones in the back. For the ones in the back.
Lean in real closely.
Please.
Please do not fall into the trap of comparing yourself to these moms that curate this wonderful, flawless homeschool experience. That is not reality. It is a highlight. Okay. Do what you can. I always say that simple is more. If you don't like to bake with your kids and it stresses you out, don't do it. Okay. Sign up for a cooking class and do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be in there throwing pots and pans and flour if that ain't your thing. It's just not your thing. And that's okay. That is okay. If you're not a nature mom, that's fine. Don't go outside. You know, like everybody has their thing. The Lord.
I had a mom say that she outsourced crafts, girl. She said, I can't do the glue and the cutting of stuff.
Girl, do it. We all got our thing, our own wiring. I'm not really an outside like nature mom. Like I like being outside for a walk and stuff like that. But knowing the different species of like bugs, that ain't my specialty. So you know what I've done? I've signed my kids up for a nature class. Where you could go out there and learn about the different bark on a tree because your mama don't know, you know.
Teach me.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to be an expert at everything, you know. Yeah. And so just be who God has made you to be. You know, he knew the type of mama you were going to be when he created those babies in your womb. And so you're the perfect parent and the perfect teacher for those babies. And just tap into his wisdom and his direction, and he'll show you and he'll supply everything that you need for your kids to have the education experience that they're supposed to.
Yes, ma'am. I said they came through you for a reason. I understand that. Yes. I understand that. Absolutely. So don't think that anybody else is going to know them better than you.
That's right. They're your babies for a reason.
Yes. How was, when you were in the classroom, how was parent involvement in the classroom for you? Because that was my biggest theme. Like when I left the classroom, that's what I wanted to dawn on. That's, hence Homeschool Your Kids, because I felt that it was a lack of parent involvement. And then now, like having conversations with some parents say like, they were trying to be involved, and then the school was kind of shooing them away. So it's like, okay, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Absolutely. So I'm grateful that I worked at schools that were big on parent involvement. They're mainly Title I schools. And so for me personally, like communication has always been a big thing. And so even now with the Imagodei Academy, and even when I was in the classroom, I always communicated with my parents, being responsive. If there was something great that was happening with their child, I will let them know immediately. Same thing with the Imagodei Academy. When a student is maybe like, behind in a course, or I'm noticing something that's a little off, immediate communication, clear, concise, having, proof and evidence that you need, and also inviting the parent into the conversation, not necessarily being the dominant one into it, but saying like, hey, this is what I've noticed. Give me your insight as well. Because I never want to take the parent's role away. Like that's their child first. And so I'm sharing what I see. I want to know what they see, because that helps you get a full picture perspective. So I use that practice even in the classroom and even now with the Imagodei Academy. And thankfully, I've had really good, even long lasting relationships with my parents and their kids. Like even on social media, like some of my fifth grade babies, like they grown, like like, they got a degree, they bought a house, got a job.
And it happens so quickly.
It does. And, they'll message you back like, oh, Miss Raby, you were my favorite. We loved you. And I love that, being able to sow like good seeds and then still see the fruit years later. Break side story. So We're here in another area. I used to teach in Florida, but we're not living in Florida anymore because we're military moving around. But a couple of months ago, earlier this year in February, actually the same weekend that I released Mama Why Do I Homeschool, I'm sitting at my middle son Malachi's basketball game, and his ref keeps catching my attention. I'm like, yo, this dude looks familiar. Like, he's not making bad calls or anything like that. But I'm like, yo, this guy looks so familiar. And so it dawns on me. And so at the end of the game, I like make a beeline to him. I'm like, hey, tell me your first name. So he tells me his first name, and then I like link on his last name. And he's looking at me like, how I know
Who
you.
are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, you remember me? I was like, I was your fifth grade teacher.
Oh
And he
my
looks at me, he's like,
gosh.
Miss Raby. I'm like, yes. I'm talking about in a totally different state, over 700 miles away from where I used to teach him. The odds of him reffing my son's basketball game
That's
years
wild.
later, like 10 years later, he was one of the students in my last class that I ever taught in public school. And he's
Oh,
coaching, I mean, he's reffing my baby's basketball game in a totally different state, 700 miles away. And it's just like mind blowing. Like, I definitely took it as a God wink. I was like, oh my gosh. And so
I
we
know.
were
And I
catching,
wonder what that did for him because of you
yeah.
remembering him.
And he said that he was like, you remember me? He was like, I still look the same. I was like, yes. But I was like, I remember all my students though. And so I actually taught his sister the year before. And so we get to see each other time to time because he works at the YMCA where my son was playing basketball at. And so I
Nice.
got to show him Nehemiah because I was pregnant with Nehemiah when I was teaching this class.
Oh,
And so he never got to see the baby that I had, but I was like, hey, this is who I was pregnant with when I was teaching y'all. He was like, man, what's up, dude? And so
oh my
it was just an
gosh.
overlapping of seasons. It was just a beautiful moment. And so I will never forget that. And so we still keep in touch because we're in the same area still. And he's off at college, doing well, his sister as well. And I was able to show him our old fifth grade yearbook from that year
Oh my
and class
goodness.
pictures and stuff like that because he didn't have any of them. But he was looking at the yearbook and he was like, I remember all of my classmates. And he was telling me he still keeps in touch with some of them. And so it was just a beautiful moment, girl.
I'm
Like,
sure
so beautiful. Like, what were the odds of that happening? Like,
that is
refing my
crazy.
baby's game.
Yes, and a whole nother state is that is pretty
Whole
wild.
nother state.
But I had a former student because we moved to Arizona. I
Mm-hmm.
taught in Virginia. One of my
Okay.
former students was here before I even got here, and then I
Girl.
just switched because I taught high school, so
Right.
I still kept in communication. I told them I wouldn't change my number, and I
Yeah.
actually just wished one of them a happy birthday yesterday, and
Oh,
I didn't remember how old she was, but she was like, I can't
yeah.
believe I'm 23 already. I said, "Oh, you still a baby?" And I said,
Yes.
that does because I taught her 10th and 12th grade. Actually, I had her
Okay.
twice. But she was like, but I feel 33. I said, girl, well, if you feeling like that, you're gonna be older than me soon. So,
Oh my goodness. Where did you teach at in Virginia? What city?
in Norfolk,
Okay.
Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah,
Seven
I grew
cities.
up in
Okay.
Virginia Beach. I
Nice.
graduated in Virginia Beach from Green Run, but I taught
Okay.
at Lake Taylor Middle and I taught at Granby High School.
Nice. Nice. I know some good people from that area, some people I went to
Yes.
college with. So awesome. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yes,
spent a little bit
girl.
of time in Stafford, Virginia, in my
Okay. That's
childhood.
up
Yeah.
north. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, no, connecting and seeing them. Like when I was home, when
Yes.
I was in Virginia, I used to run into students all the time because I
I
subbed
love
for
that.
8 years.
Okay.
And so, I've seen so many faces, so many faces. But to know that
Mm-hmm.
you leave that lasting impression where they're at work or something, and they're like, Miss Carter. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. And I'm like, hey, because I don't
I
remember
know
all
that.
my students.
Right,
Okay.
right, right. High
Let me
school is
tell you.
different. Yeah, high
Look,
school is different.
147 on the roster, girl. No, I wish I could.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just nice to see them and
It
let you
is.
know they tell you like I wrote a recommendation letter for one of them, one of my Former students who is now in the military going for a different
Okay.
position. So,
I
and he
love
telling me, "Oh, I
it.
wish you was still here." And I'm like, "But you're not even in school no more.
Right, right,
You're
right.
done.
They
Like
just missed Miss
you're not
Carter.
even there. Yeah. You
Yeah,
want me to
I
be there,
love
but you're not
that.
even there. Like that's crazy."
I
But yeah, no,
love that.
yeah, like you said, like teaching has always been in the heart. Like my time in that
Hmm.
classroom was very, very memorable.
Me
So I
too,
feel you all
girl.
with this, seeing
Me
the classroom
too.
set up and stuff. Like I miss making
Yeah.
the vision boards with the kids. Like
Hmm.
just so much, so much. It
So
is.
much. Yep. So now my home is my classroom, and I'm using some of the things that I had in my classroom, my babies. And so I'm really excited about this year because I taught fifth grade, and my
Mm.
oldest is in fifth grade now,
Oh,
and my middle baby's in second grade. And as a kid, second grade was my favorite grade.
really?
Yes. And so this is a really good, fun year for me. So, yeah.
Nice. No, and how is the 3-year-old? Because I know he just be around there soaking up everything. Like you
Girl,
said, 3 going on 63. So I
girl,
can just imagine him thinking that,
girl,
hey, I'm
girl.
the big brother.
Is that right there is really like the pinnacle of our conversations lately. So, like, if you've got to experience Elijah in real life, you already know. But he literally thinks he's a big brother. He keeps saying, like, when I'm a big brother, I said that ain't happening because we done. Like, your
Why you
call,
don't want to try for a girl?
girl, the shop is
No.
closed. I am the girl. I'm the queen. This is what the Lord has purpose. This is it. This is it right here. We are
This is it.
done.
She said the shop is closed,
It
honey.
is closed, shut down. But no, girl, I've had three C-sections. We done.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Getting cut
yeah.
is different. Look, getting cut is different.
Yes, it just was
Yes.
not, in my cards in my life to have, natural birth that way. But the
Mhm.
Lord saw me through all of it. But girl, Elijah, man, he is a special kid. He has so much knowledge because he's got older brothers. He wants to keep up. His social skills are here, girl. We working on academia, like, I be telling
They'll
parents.
come. They'll come. Yeah.
Exactly. Like every kid is different. So like my oldest, like he knew the alphabet like by age 1, 2, like was into learning. This last one, he could care less. He be guessing. Oh, that's A, that's B. You know what I'm saying? And I know he know, but he not worried about that. He worried about the socialization. He want to know what I'm talking about. Or,
What?
am I gonna get his brothers because they didn't listen? That's what he worried about. You know what I'm saying? Like trying to manage and parent and dude, we've been doing this a long time before you got here.
Yeah,
I
you
need you to
three
focus
chill.
on me.
Yes.
Girl, he is a hoot, but that's my baby. They all my babies. They're all special to me in their own way. I love them. But that 3-year-old is in the mix. And so most days he's home, but I do also use like a part-time kids day out program for him just so I
Mm.
can focus on my older babies and so they don't have those distractions and things like that because the dude is funny, okay? Like he really is. I don't blame them for laughing at him because he's hilarious. But, I need him to kind of be like in a fun, structured environment so I can focus. And it's just part time during the day. But that also gives me time as a mom to breathe. And he's in a good, safe, healthy environment. I've used mom's day out, kids day out programs with all my boys to kind of
Yes.
help balance that motherhood, homeschool, stay at home mom, wife life. And so, like I said, we outsource for academic, outsource for childcare help too, because, we're military.
Yes.
We don't have family that we can just pick the phone and call and say, hey, can you come get the kids? So we got to get in where we fit in. And so there have been some really great programs that have been in our area that we've been able to use. And so I'm thankful for every teacher that's helped give my child childcare and look out for my babies to help me to be able to homeschool.
No, I love the outsourcing and I love that
Yeah.
you're using the word balance because that's what it's
Uh-huh.
all about. Because you want it
Yep.
to be enjoyable. Like, and you
Absolutely.
still smiling. Like I say, you still look like a teenager. So life is doing you well
Yes, the Lord's
with the
good.
choices. Yes, with the choices
Yeah.
you are making.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And we joined the YMCA, which is a good family friendly gym because they have childcare. So
Mhm.
I can work out, you know what I'm saying? Drop them off. They have different activities for the boys to do. So don't be afraid to outsource for help, mamas. We can't do it all. My husband works a full time job. he's supportive how he can and where he is, but I'm the one that's home. And so
Yes.
I'm the one that needs those extra supports. And thankfully, he's supportive of that. And like whatever we need, within our family budget and things like that, we're able to make it happen by the grace of God. And so I'm not afraid to say, yeah, I don't do everything.
Yes, no,
I get
as
help.
you should not. And why the
Yep.
YMCA actually has some great programs for homeschoolers too.
They do. They do. Like
Yeah.
that's where they do the homeschool PE at and the art class. I mean, even their sports programs are good. That's, how I ran
Mm,
into one of my students and things like that. So, just got to get out and find
indeed.
things and get your rhythm and systems going.
Well, I know you have your school. Are you a part of any co-ops or any other kind of homeschool communities?
So not formal co-ops because like I said, like Imagodei Academy is its own education homeschool program. And so because I'm pouring and investing into that area, I don't, I'm not really a part of any formal co-ops because they have like, the requirements of teaching a class and things like that. And so again, with balance, I have to know my capacity and not,
Yes,
overstretch
ma'am.
myself as well. But they do the homeschool PE and art class with the YMCA. There are different mamas that I've met in my local area. I also host like a homeschool mom huddle once a month during the homeschool year for moms here.
Nice.
And so we meet up at our local library. I host it. We have like snacks and they bring their kids and the kids get to meet each other. And every month is a different theme. So sometimes we talk about having vision. For the holiday time frame, we'll do like a Friendsgiving or like something for Christmas or Valentine's Day, end of the school year type things like that. But just a social support community for mamas and their kids. So just once a month at the library. So we call it the homeschool mom huddle. So just like teams get into a huddle and they powwow and the coach gives advice and strategies and then they go out and play the game, the moms come together and huddle for support and then get out there in the homeschool field again and we meet back again the next month. So
Keep them going. You keep them
yep.
going. Yes, I love that. Girl, I love
Yes.
everything you're doing. You are such
Thank
an
you.
inspiration. Really,
Thank
you are
you.
doing it. How do you pour back into you with all that you have on your plate and all that you are spreading out and creating? How do you make sure Kamika's good?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So, one of the things that I do to make sure that Kamika is good is I do not work on Sundays.
Okay.
I am a recovering workaholic. But it's maybe been about 3 or 4 years now that the Lord just laid on my heart about really resting on Sundays. So
Nice.
resting as far as like spending time with my family, nothing work related. We go to church on Sundays and take care of like grocery shopping and things like that, but nothing that's tied to this laptop. Because this laptop would get in the way, even when I was teaching in the classroom, like you never put it down. You got to grade, you got to answer an email, it's nonstop. And so when I came home, I kind of felt myself in that same rhythm. Like, and it's hard when you're at home all the time to have that like divide. Cause like sometimes when you leave work and that's it. But like when you're at home, it's like continuously going, going, going. So for me, Sundays, I don't do anything Imagodei Academy related, anything work related. Don't do that. And that's how I pause and rest and reset for the day. Something else I do not do anything past 10:30 p.m. I'm in the bed.
Mm,
I'm in the bed between 9 and 10. I'm
nice.
not one that works throughout the night because I feel like you can't do well when you're tired.
Me too, girl.
I,
I'm right with you. You and me, night night at the same time, girl.
yeah, I'm going to bed. I will get up early. I will do that. I'll get up early to redeem my time, but I'm not working tired. I'm
Mm,
just not. So that's how I take care of me. I'm going to bed. Okay. And I'm done. The phone on do not disturb, everything off. I see you when the sunrise. So
yeah.
that's how I take care of me. Working out is something for myself. Just staying healthy and physically fit. That's something that I do for Kamika. Always going to get a pedicure when I need to. So making that time for myself. I'm also blessed to have a husband that is hands on with the boys. So I'll take a girls trip in a minute, and these boys will be here with their daddy. And my friends will be like, "You leaving them with their dad?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's their parent.
I know what
They gonna be all right.
am
Even if they
I?
eat girl, even if they eat chicken nuggets, they fine. He not gonna do everything the way that I do it, but they gonna have their needs met. You know,
Yes.
the mama specialty and the glitter that I bring to what I do, he's not gonna do that. That's fine.
Yeah.
When I come
Yeah.
back, everybody's alive and well. But I have learned to just let them kids be when they're with their dad,
Yes.
because I can't be that at all times. Like my cup has to be filled. So
Mm.
I'll go visit a friend for the weekend. You know, we'll go to a conference or do something. Or, you know, some days when my husband gets home from work, I'm out. I'm going to Hobby Lobby, Ross, TJ Maxx, even if it's just to walk around. Like I'm getting away.
Love that.
You just
Yes.
have to, you know, like I'm not a super mom. I let my kids know when I'm tired because I want them to know that I'm human.
Yes,
I don't want them
ma'am.
to think that mom did it all, does it all, because to me, that sends a false sense of life and reality. And then I want them to be good husbands one day and to understand their wives' challenges and
Yes.
not expect her to do it all. To be like, well, my mom did it. Like, no, she her own person. I'm my own person. See the highs and the lows of me, baby, because
Mm.
this is real life. You know, I get
Yeah.
tired. You know what I'm saying? I love y'all, but y'all get on my nerves. I get on y'all
What?
nerves.
You
You know what
better
I'm
say
saying?
it.
Vice versa. We are human. We trying to work this thing out together and figure it out. But that's what homeschool lets you see. Your kids get a front row view of you too, and how you handle conflict, how you handle stresses, how you take care of yourself. Like, and so my boys, they know that when they get on each other's nerves, okay, go do your own little time. You need your me
Mhm.
time like I need my me time. And so once we get recharged, we get back on the right level, we can have that unity that we need. We don't work through the
Yes,
conflict.
ma'am.
You know, once mama recharges, I'm good. I come back. I can serve you from a full cup.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Girl, you got the formula, honey. I love that.
Yes,
Yes. No,
ma'am.
they
Yes,
have to
ma'am.
see you work through all
Mm-hmm.
of that. I know I've gotten way better with communicating my feelings since I've
Yeah.
had kids. Before it
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, I just stopped talking to you.
Right, right, right. Yeah, yeah. We all learn and grow.
Well,
Absolutely.
yes, but as far as with the kid,
Mm-hmm.
they need an explanation, need to know what's wrong,
That's
or
right.
are you okay? And if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'll tell them. I said I'm not, but I will
Yeah,
be. Like I always tell
exactly.
them, but I will be. Like
That's it right there. That's it right there.
yes,
Yeah. Cause I'm gonna get back up. I'm tired right now. I'm annoyed right
yes.
now. I'm frustrated right now, but I'm gonna be okay.
Yes.
Be okay.
Yes. Understand.
Mhm.
But no, that's
Yes.
amazing.
I
You
love
are
that.
amazing, young
Thank
lady.
you. Thank you.
So before I let you go, three things you will leave our listeners with. If they didn't hear anything else in this amazing conversation, what's three things you want
Yeah.
them to take away?
Okay, so the first thing I would say, speaking specifically to homeschool families, is know your why for why you're doing what you're doing. A lot of people make the choice of homeschool out of like a reactionary mode, which is fine. You know, we all have our different paths and things like that. But when those emotions calm down and you see that school bus go by and you tempted to put them kids back out there, you got to have a little bit of a stronger anchor for why you're doing what you
What?
do. So even if you know you always purpose in your mind that you're going to homeschool or that it was a reactionary decision, you got to have your vision and your mission for why you're doing what you're doing, because that's your anchor. When you're frustrated or when your kids are questioning why we're doing this, you can point them back to that, and it kind of keeps everybody unified in the purpose of homeschooling. um, as a homeschool mama, we just talked about it. Take care of yourself. Always have something that you're doing for yourself that you personally enjoy. You know, every week going to get a coffee or going to get your nails done or taking the time to walk. I love going for my little evening walks by myself. You know, me and my headphones. It's another way I take care of myself. But have
Mhm.
something where you're taking care of you and pouring into you. And don't be afraid to ask for help as well, because that's
Yeah.
also taking care of yourself. And then the last thing that I would say is don't compare yourself. Be good with the way that the Lord has assigned you. Be content with where you are. That doesn't mean that you can't dream and have goals and visions and aspirations as we should, but be okay with the mundane as well. Don't compare yourself to any other mother. Don't be somebody that you're not. Be who God made you to be. Be that mama to those babies that they need. And always remember that you cannot pour from an empty cup. You have to be filled and you have to be okay with the way that you are and find joy in the little things. You know, it's okay if you can't afford like an all expense paid vacation to go somewhere. A trip to the library is fine. Like, do what you can with what's in your hand, with the resources that you have, and just know that God can do so much with your little. And just enjoy life, man. Just enjoy life.
Yeah, girl, you are a vessel, honey. You delivering them messages. I appreciate you. I don't have nothing
Thank
to
you
add,
so
y'all.
much.
I don't
Thank
have nothing
you.
to add.
I
Yes.
appreciate you. So good getting to meet with you last month and your babies. Look, you do an amazing job with your babies. Okay.
Oh, thank
Now,
you.
I know Jay
Thank you.
spotlighting me, but let me spotlight her. Okay. So, one of her babies was not doing well at the expo, and she had to go take care of the baby as she should have. But her oldest one, she held that thing down. She's like, I'm here hosting, you know, you
Yes.
guys welcome. And so that's all a reflection of you, mama. And so you've
Thank
invested
you.
into your ladies. They are so blessed to have you for all that you do for them. You met your
Oh, don't do
goal for
this.
all your cities, girl. So
Yeah.
you are doing it too. And I'm just so
Thank
grateful
you.
that our paths crossed and we're able to connect. And it was just such an awesome weekend to meet you and your babies and the time that we shared together. So thank you for all that you doing, girl.
Thank you. Thank you for pouring into me. Oh, that
Yes.
is so amazing. Don't do
Yes,
that. Don't
girl.
do that.
Yes,
Oh
girl. You
my
deserve it. Flowers, flowers, flowers.
gosh. Likewise, I'm
Yes,
merely a
ma'am.
reflection. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Me too, girl.
Yes,
Thank
families,
you. Absolutely.
listeners, homeschool your kids.
Yes.